And in this context, abstract means to simplify what the hardware actually looks like. And arbitrate it means to manage, to oversee, to control the hardware use. And in this context, abstract means to simplify what the hardware actually looks like. And arbitrate, it means to manage, to oversee, to control the hardware use. We will see throughout this course that operating systems support a number of abstractions and arbitration mechanisms for the various types of hardware components in computer systems. While this entire course will cover many elements of an operating system, it would be nice to have a simple illustration of what an operating system is like. So to give a visual metaphor using our toy theme, we can say that an operating system is like a toy shop manager. At a high level, how is a toy shop manager like an operating system? First, a toy shop manager directs operational resources in the shop. Second, a toy shop manager enforces working policies. And finally, a toy shop manager mitigates the difficulty of complex tasks. For instance, for any toy shop manager, they must be in charge of their employees and direct their working efforts towards completing the work. Additionally, a toy shop manager is responsible for scheduling, for allocating, for distributing the resources in the shop, the parts and the tools, and for determining which of the employees will work on which orders and use which tools. Toy shop managers are also the ones that enforce working policies in the toy shop. These can be policies regarding fairness, safety, cleanup. For instance, how workers working on two different orders have to share one of the shared resources, shared parts and tools, for instance. Another example is policy regarding how to clean up after yourselves once a worker is done with processing a toy order. Finally, a toy shop manager helps mitigate the effects of complex tasks. It does that by trying to make the overall operation of the toy shop more optimized and more simple. Without a manager, for instance, employees may not know how to establish order amongst themselves, how to decide how to handle the workload. So the toy shop manager has to deal with this situation so as to avoid dealing with much more complex tasks. So the question then is, what parallels are there between a toy shop manager with an operating system? Operating systems too direct operational resources. In particular, they control the use of the hardware, CPU, memory, peripheral devices such as disk, network cards, etc., and they decide how these resources will be allocated to applications. Along those lines, operating systems actually enforce some policies. This can include policies regarding how these resources are used, for instance, to control fair access to the shared resources. Or it can be even to impose certain limits to allocate maximum amount of a certain resource that a particular application or process can use. Examples of such limits are, for instance, the number of open files that can be opened per process, or some thresholds that need to be passed in order for some memory management daemons to kick in. There are numerous other examples of limiting resource usage. And finally, the operating system helps with the difficulty of complex tasks. In particularly important is that it simplifies the view of the underlying hardware that's observed by the applications that are running on that particular platform. Instead, applications interact via system calls with the operating system, and the operating system takes care of managing those difficult tasks for them.